All right, last two examples here, starting with our degree. Just quick recap there. I've got a multiplicity of 2 plus a multiplicity of 1 there, so this was a degree 3. My end behavior, this also has a positive leading coefficient, and it's got an odd degree, so odd positive is going to be down, up. All right, let's do the same over here. This one, I had a degree of 3 plus 1, which would be 5. This one is an odd negative. So this one will be up, down. Make sure you caught that negative up front. That would change your leading coefficient. Easy to miss those. All right, let's do zeros. I've got a 0 here of -1. This one has a multiplicity, so I got to be sure to list multiplicity of 2 because that's going to have impacts when I go to my graph. And then a 0 of 3, multiplicity of 1. Over here, I've got a 0 of -1, multiplicity of 3. 0 of 2, 0, multiplicity of 1, and 5, 0, multiplicity of 1. And remember, I'm just taking each of those factors, setting them equal to 0, and solving them, and in essence, flipping the signs is basically all you're doing there. Okay, let's do y-intercepts. Remember, we're plugging in 0 for x, for all your x values. So you'd have 0 plus 1 squared, and 0 minus 3. Don't forget those exponents in this case. Well, 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is still just 1. And then I got to multiply that. 0 minus 3 is -3. So I got to multiply that by -3. Now, keep an eye out. In another problem, if you have 0 plus 1, if you have something else here and you forget to square it, this would have a big major impact. Here it doesn't have as much of an impact because 1 squared is still just 1, but just keep an eye out for other problems where that comes into play. Don't forget that exponent. All right, 1 times 3 would just be -3, so my y-intercept is 0, -3. Okay, coming on over here, I've got negative up front. Keep an eye on that. Then 0 plus 1 cubed, 0 minus 2, 0 minus 5. Okay, so what happens here? I'm going to kind of jump down here to do my scratch work. I still have this negative up front. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 cubed is 1. I'll still write that 1 cubed down just so I don't forget it was there. 0 minus 2 is -2. 0 minus 5 is -5. Okay, so let me do the exponent first. 1 cubed is 1. The negative is like having a -1 up front, then times -2, then times -5. So you'd end up, these two would get you -1, these two would get you +10, so -10 overall, or throw it all into your calculator. Up to you, but you do end up with a y-intercept of -10. And word to the wise, as you're moving forward with these problems, keep an eye out when you get those negatives up front. Very easy to forget to multiply by a -1, and then that throws off your y-intercept. All right, it's plotting time. Plot a 0 at -1 and at 3, and a y-intercept at 0, -3. Come over here, I've got a 0 at -1, a 0 at 2, and 1 at 5. And then a y-intercept down here at -10. All right, coming back to this one, let me do my end behavior. This one should be down and up. Okay, so I've got to start at the very bottom here. So it's got to, the furthest left, it's got to be pointing down from there. So at this 0, I kind of knew this was coming. That's why I kind of made this almost look like a little parabola. But because I have a multiplicity of 2, think about what that's going to do at that 0. Multiplicity of 2 is an even multiplicity, which means it's going to bounce here. So I have to hit this 0 and not cross, but make kind of a little vertex of a parabola there. Plus, it's got to come down and pick up this y-intercept anyway. But that happens. We can connect that to the idea about it bouncing. All right, come down, pick up my y-intercept. Then it's got to come back up. We don't know how big to make that loop. Doesn't matter. We're just making it and then coming on back. Okay, what does it do here? Here it has a multiplicity of 1, so it's going to cross. So it just comes straight on through and then matches my end behavior. Nifty. Okay, coming over to this one. I've got a multiplicity at -1 of 3. Now that's odd, but remember how very, very early on in this unit with the multiplicities of 3, we talked about, or I'm sorry, in the part 1 videos with the multiplicities of 3, we talked about how it didn't only cross, it kind of made this bending shape. That's what we're going to kind of replicate here. So it's going to be a cross and with a little bend at a multiplicity of 3. These two with multiplicities of 1 are just going to be regular old crossings. So it's just going to pass right on through. All right, end behavior. End behavior is up, down. So up on the left side, down on the right side. Okay, so I'm going to start up. So I need an arrow that points up. This is the one it's got to bend at. So as best as you can, kind of make this bend. Make a point of inflection there at that 0. And then we got to come down, pick up our y-intercept, come back up at some point. And then these two, it's just going to cross right on through. So just cross it, and then point down, and it matches your end behavior. Now, if you want to check any of your answers to these, you can still put these into your graphing calculator. If you throw in the original equations, so like example C, you can type in exactly that equation and see what it should look like. And you can confirm that it does match. But it will really help you review a lot of the skills that you know to be able to try these by hand and then be able to check them with your graphing calculator to make sure that you're really understanding how the multiplicities behave and how the end behavior and degrees kind of come into play. Giving you a heads up now right here at the end of this video that the quiz at the end of this section is going to involve you trying to match graphs and their factored form equations. So those are going to be some of the types of questions you'll see. The more you practice with this kind of an idea, the faster you'll get at being able to know, oh, hey, that's got an even multiplicity. It's got a bounce there. This one's got an odd. It's got a cross there, that sort of thing. So those are just some tips for those of you that stayed tuned all the way to the end. Little heads up for you so you can do even better on your quizzes. All right, good luck. See you in office hours if you got questions.